What's up, Pyromaniacs? Pyros Tip here, and we are back in the world of Minecraft. Specifically, we are back on Titan MC. It's a prison server that we've been playing on, and today we're going to kind of do something a little different from my normal prison videos. Some of you guys have been asking, oh my god, how do you move up so quick, and how do you do this, and how do you do that, and I'm going to kind of show you guys some of the tricks and the tips that I use to kind of do what I'm doing. First off, we're going to get rid of all of this redstone while I kind of just chat with you for a bit and kind of just clear up my inventory just a bit, get rid of some of this stuff. Some of these things are from previous prison blocks. I was hanging on to all this lapis hoping that my tickets would fix themselves, but they never really got around to it, so I'm just going to go ahead and clear them now. I also wanted to update you guys on my pick. Those of you guys who missed last episode, we got a brand new Silk pick, or Silk Touch explosive pick. I did trade, I think it was 1.1 million for it, plus an S pick, which is the auto smelting pick. Personally, I don't think the auto smelting pick is worth it. For me, I think it's a big mistake to get that pick for a variety of reasons. Number one, because, well, it's slow. Compared to the explosive pick, it's inferior as hell. And then on top of that, it's just not all that. You lose out on all the EXP, and EXP is one of the best ways to make money in this game that there is. You enchant things, and then you sell the picks that you enchant, or the swords, or the armor, or whatever the hell you want to do, and that's where you make all the cash. I was in B1, I think it was, and I was about 2 mil away, or maybe it was a 1 mil away, and I just simply kept, smelting all of my ores and such, and progressed, and ended up making, I think it was almost 3 million today off of just selling picks. That's it, because people always need, fortune, they always need Silk Touch, they always need efficiency. And those are great ways to make some cash. Now, a couple of the tips that I'm gonna give you guys today, they're kind of obvious. They weren't always obvious to me, and if one thing YouTube has taught me is if I don't know something, like if it's not obvious to me, like right off the bat, and sometimes even if it is, then it's probably not going to be obvious to some other people as well. And I usually like to cover things because, just because something makes sense to me and right off the top of my head I'm like, oh yeah, why did I do that? It doesn't mean it's going to be the same for you. So, I kind of like to cover everything, and for those of you who already know these tips and tricks and such, then you just kind of oh, I already know that, Pyro. Just this video is obviously not for you. But for the other folks, it is. Now, some of you guys may be wondering a couple things. One, why is the sound off? Some of you guys have been complaining because of the explosive pick, and I completely understand it is loud. For whatever reason, it doesn't bug me. But I understand it bugs a lot of you guys, so I'm cutting that out. And number two, a few of you guys may be like, dude, why are you mining? I don't understand. Why are you mining? Well, I kind of wanted to show you one of my tricks, and I figured this out the other day. Arthenon told me that for him this was fucking obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me, so I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys. Now, every time you get into a mine, you're going to have a bunch of blocks. With this one, it's gold, lapis, redstone, diamond, and emeralds. That's all it's here. I think there may occasionally be a piece of coal around somewhere, but for the most part, it's just those materials. The problem that you're going to run into is all of this white stained clay, or one of the other clays, or what is it? I don't think there's any glass or anything like that. I think that's the donor mines. Anyways, there's a bunch of shit that you don't need. And honestly, the prices on it, I mean, sure, if you go back and sell it constantly, you're going to make some cash. But you've also got to realize every time you step out of the mine is time you're not making tickets, you're not grinding ores, and you're kind of losing some time. So what I do is I decide on the things that I want to get. So for me, I no longer really care about lapis or redstone. These are two things that I'm just not really going to use anymore. They're good stuff. You can earn a little bit of cash. I mean, you can see for, what was it, 64? Well, I'm not sure what it was, but it wasn't. It was like $1,000. So for every stack of 64 of this, I make $1,000, but it's just really not worth it anymore. And on top of that, since I now have the Silk Touch pick, then I got to break these down or I can smelt them. Now, if I smelt them, I get EXP for them. That's good. But you still have to, you're still smelting something that's value is subpar, which means it's going to take a lot of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop these, we're going to drop this, and we're just going to drop all of this shit that we don't need. And then what we're going to do is this. We're going to fill our inventory up with the stuff that we actually want. And the reason we're going about this, we're going to put a few there, and then we'll just do 2 more of you, and then the rest of it's just going to be gold. The reason we're doing this is we physically can't, at this point, pick up the stuff that we don't want. Our inventory gets full. We'll split that right there. Our inventory is 100% full at this point, even though, you know, it's technically not full. And you just basically mine like normal. You're going to get tickets for stuff even if you don't pick it up. So all of the stuff that you don't need, you know, or don't want or whatever is still going to give you the tickets, because you can see the ticket spam down there. But it just doesn't clutter my inventory. And now I don't have to deal with it. Now, like I said, you know, yes, some of that other stuff could make money, but the real issue with it is you do end up drastically reducing your inventory space for stuff that you really need. And you end up constantly doing downtime over and over again, going and selling, or clearing your inventory or dumping or whatever. And it's time that you could really spend down here. You know, and we've cleared out a pretty good chunk of this stuff at this point. You know, I do have to come over here and pick up some of these. And we're only getting the good stuff, you know, and there may be some diminished returns on this. You know, there may be some arguments that, you know, picking up the lapis and the redstone may actually be worth it because, you know, it's going to take me so long to fill the other stuff up. But at this point, the only thing I really need is emerald blocks, diamond blocks. I'm keeping the gold because gold still has a decent sell value, and mainly the gold, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, is only for the EXP. It's only for the EXP. Otherwise, it's just not worth it for me because I don't need it. You know, there's the cost benefit on the other stuff is far superior. The quests are good, and you know, as long as I'm getting the tickets, you know, I don't mind somebody coming in behind me and picking up all this stuff. I mean, if that's what they want, rock and roll. So this will pretty much allow you with this setup to mine for a long time. Now, one of the other benefits is if you're patient. And not everybody is, but if you're patient, I strongly recommend getting an S pick fairly early on, or not an S pick, a Silk Touch pick. I don't know why I keep calling a Silk Touch pick an S pick. I guess it's just because of, you know, the similarity in words. But if you can get a Silk Touch pick, you can drastically increase a lot of things. Number one, you're going to increase your storage. So, for instance, you know, even if I was picking up these redstone ores here, that's still only one piece. Well, if you've got fortune on your explosive pick instead of Silk Touch, then that's going to be taking that one piece and turning it into 2, 4, 6, whatever. And so your storage space rapidly declines, and then you have to, you're basically doing cobblestone all over again. You're having to go back, you're having to grind it down, you know, sell it, etc., etc. If you've got Silk Touch, then you still get all the benefits. You know, you can go back to base, you can have your fortune pick at home, and just drop all the stuff inside your cell or whatever, and then grind it down that way. The problem that you're going to run into is time. You know, breaking down all of this stuff, especially if you don't have a very large cell, like for instance, the mastermind cell, it's going to take you forever. I mean, like, can you imagine like 10 stacks of 64 redstone when you can only place like 5 or 6 down at a time, and then you have to explode it, loot it, and then re-explode it, and re-loot it, and you know, you're just rinsing and repeating, all for like $1,000. So it's not really worth it. It's not really worth it for me. Now, other people, you know, their mileage may vary. You know, if you are very, very patient and you don't mind, you know, being maybe, I don't know if I want to say not as efficient, but if, you know, if you just want to pull in every little dime you can, then, you know, it's a solid idea. Just for me, I'm going to probably do this for now just because, well, it's really all I need. So I'm hoping, and I'm also hoping I can get rid of this type of stuff where the D-bags, you know, don't follow in behind me and try and loot my stuff, and they go about their business because I've got tons of ores all over the place. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So once you get all this stuff set up, you know, you've got all this stuff collected. Let me see if I can actually find a way out. Let's do it over here. Let's do. There we go. There we go. There we go. And we're out. Okay. The reason I wanted to come out here is so I can do /back once we get here. So let's go home donator. All right. So we're home now. Yeah, that's right. I sealed myself in. Be careful breaking your ores inside your base. The reason I say that is there are a lot of unsavory characters out there, and there are ways to get through iron bars. I'm not going to show you guys how to get through iron bars. One of the guys on the server showed me earlier. I think his name was King, and he demonstrated it for me, which kind of gave me a bit of a heads up. So thankfully, he was nice enough to show me that that was possible. But anyways, when you come back to your place, you know, get you a big old wall of furnaces like this. So we're going to put, I think I'm going to split this twice just so I can show you guys. So we're at level 35 right now. That's not going to be our level here in a second because we're going to do a little bit of enchanting real quick. But that's just one stack. Okay, that's just one stack of ores. If you do decide to loot the redstone and the lapis, if you have a fortune pick, you'll make more if you break them down. But if you put them in here, you'll make a lot more EXP. I highly recommend doing that because then you can start collecting all these picks like this. And these picks, they can sell really, really well. Really well. All right, so for our big booty Judy Moneymaker pick we got down here, we got Efficiency 5, Silk Touch 1. The only thing we're missing now is Unbreaking. We're missing Unbreaking. Unbreaking, you know, obviously is not a key one for this. I would recommend putting Unbreaking on last. That way, in case you run out of room for your pick, you don't fuck yourself. And I think you will eventually want 2 explosive picks, one for Fortune and one for Silk Touch. They are mutually exclusive. You can't have both of them on one pick. Silk Touch overwrites Fortune. So if, you know, it picks the block up solid, it's not going to duplicate it. So, you know, get yourself you can see my setup here. We have this one right here, Efficiency 5, Unbreaking 3, Fortune 3. And then this one's going to be Silk Touch 1, Efficiency 5, and here in a second, Unbreaking 3. So let's go ahead and put our pick here. And I'm gonna leave the name the same in honor of the bro who gave it to me. But you can see right here, that's Efficiency 5, Silk Touch 1, Unbreaking 3. That's gonna cap this out. We're basically done with it. There's nothing else we can really add on to this thing that will make it any better. And you always want to make sure you put your explosive pick or your smelter pick on the left side. I'm not sure if you can put it on the right side, but I'm pretty sure if you put it on the left side, you'll keep it. But make sure, you know, down here on the right, you can see where it says blast your way to the top in purple. That lets you know you're keeping the enchantment. So let's go ahead and pull that out. That takes our EXP levels, and we're down to EXP level 2, and we now have our maxed out little badass here. So now we've got our 2 god picks, Efficiency 5 Unbreaking 3, Fortune 3, and Efficiency 5 Unbreaking 3, Silk Touch 1. So not much better. Now, this is the hard part with the smelting, and a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh my god, Pyro, you know how long it's going to take to do that? I mean, like, for real, it takes forever. Well, bear with me, troll. Most of the time, now, Mastermind's an exception because there's not a whole ton of Masterminds, at least on Prison 4, and if they are, they don't hang out in their bases very often. If you have a cell in any of the blocks, you set up one of these little walls. I mean, obviously, you won't have the same amount of room, but you can still set up a bunch of furnaces. You don't have to be there. The chunk will stay loaded by somebody else. So you just simply let them keep the chunk loaded. You load it up, you go back, you start mining again, you come back, you empty, refill, and you just rinse and repeat. Now, right here, you can see I'm at level 2, I think it is, if people will shut up. Yep, we're at level 2. So just one stack, which, you know, obviously is not much, gave us 4 levels. Obviously, the higher up you go, the harder that's going to become. It's going to become more and more difficult. And you're eventually going to get to a point where, you know, you're going to have to kind of deal with it. But it's a great way to get EXP, you know, and that, like I said, it's quite possibly the best method to quickly level yourself up and make buku bucks. And I do mean buku bucks because people pay ridiculously for these enchantments. I've probably made almost 10 million off of them. So Then you just, leave some of these here in your inventory so you have plenty of stacks to go back with. And then every once in a while, you can either, switch picks. Like, for me, I'll switch to these and then I'll break these down for their diamonds and emeralds. And I can either go to C3 or I can go to one of the stores, et cetera, et cetera. And you can go from there. So that does bring the other interesting thing. I want to show you guys a couple things. This thing that I'm going to show you is obviously specific to Prison 4. Your prison will vary, but I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have at least one dude like this. There's a lot of folks that run shops, and that's their main setup. That's basically what they maintain. So you can see here, this is E block. This is the lowest block in the game. This is where the massive majority of people are going to be hanging out. They're going to be coming through. New players are going to be hanging out here. This is the hub. This is the key spot. Well, there's a room. Oh, dude, that would be so cool to have that room right there. Fizz has. You guys have probably seen me use him several times. Fizz has runs his. Why are there just a bunch of emeralds and shit here? I don't understand. Fizz has runs his store very, very close to the C3 store. Like within 3 or 4 gold of the C3 store. Now, obviously, this isn't for ores. This is going to be for actual physical, like iron blocks. He sells those at, I want to say 105, when 108 is what it is in the C3 store. So, he's a pretty good guy to sell to. The key thing here is, if you sell to this guy, you don't have to buy the tickets. Or not, you don't have to buy the commissary ticket to get in, which means you can save your tickets for the quests. So you have to balance it out because you can't go to the commissaries and do tickets or quests at the same time because you're going to collect ores and quest objectives far faster than you will tickets. It sucks. Like I had Lapis for days, but I couldn't get enough tickets to allow myself to continuously run the quests. I always had more of the material than I had tickets, and it kind of blows. Well, if you sell to somebody like Fizz or on your server, maybe Bob or whoever, you can save the tickets. You can almost get C3 prices, and then you can have the benefit of the quest too. So it's kind of like double dipping. You get the best of both worlds. So what you're going to want to try and do when you pick your own cell is try and find a cell that is as close to the ground level as possible, either to the mine or to the entrance, and make sure it's in the high traffic area. If you're in E block and you're like somewhere way back there, the odds of somebody finding you are probably pretty slim. Why are they going to come to you when they can hit Fizz right over here? And it kind of blows. It kind of blows. It makes it very unfortunate. It makes it very annoying because, you're just trying to make your money. And because Fizz was here before you, he's got prime real estate. So, if you're going to be stuck in an area for a while, just try and hang out, try and watch the signs, keep a note on a notepad and, see when the places drop. And every couple days, one of them opens up, somebody goes on vacation, gets grounded, forgets to log in, or, maybe has computer problems or whatever. Use that time to get a good setup. The last thing I want to let you guys know and recommend is you guys absolutely have to aim for one of these explosive picks as fast as you can, because it's night and day difference. It's night and day difference. I mean, if you're mining with a normal pick, number one, you're going to have to constantly be making the picks as they break. Number two, if you enchant the thing, you might as well be throwing the enchantment away because you're going to constantly be repairing it or replacing it, and it's a pain in the ass. S picks and explosive picks, both of them are infinitely repairable. So once you invest in one, it is a permanent investment. You're never going to lose it as long as you don't PvP and as long as you're not stupid and don't let it break. I almost broke this pick right here, not paying attention because I was so used to having an unbreaking pick. I looked down and it was in the red and I almost lost it. So, just make sure that you add a right click to your normal pattern or whatever. Every so often, just right click to heal it and you're good. And, then just start working on investing it. Now, a lot of you guys can be like, well, dude, I don't have $20. I don't want to spend $20 on the damn thing. Well, that's where the enchanting comes in. I keep telling you guys, or not the enchant. Well, yeah, the enchanting. You got to smelt your stuff. You don't want an S pick because then you're not going to get levels. You're not going to be able to enchant, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. So if you smelt your ores, it is not hard to hit level 30. I mean, you can hit level 30 very, very quickly by doing this. And at that point, you just go and buy, 3 diamonds. If you don't have diamonds in your mine yet, make yourself a couple diamond pickaxes and, start enchanting. And, not all of them are going to be good. You're going to get a lot of unbreaking, which is basically fucking useless. But, you get a couple silk touches, a couple fortunes, things along those lines, and you will make your investment back tenfold. I mean, usually it costs you about 900 to 1,000 to get a diamond pickaxe set up. And you can usually sell a good one of those from anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million. So, it's damn good money. It'll get you out of your ward quicker, get you up to the A block, which is where you want to be. And, once you get one of these bad mamma jammas upgraded, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can see I'm chewing through here, and I don't even have haste yet. Once I hit A1 and I have haste, I'll chew through this so fast, it'll be disgusting. It'll be absolutely disgusting. So the problem you're going to run into with X-Picks is you have to actually trade with somebody if you don't have the $20. So what I recommend doing is, find somebody on the server that is, has a reputation. Somebody like Fizz, somebody who's been around for a while, and, check them out. Ask some other people, ask around, has anybody traded with this dude, et cetera, et cetera. And, for me, I don't trade first. You're going to have to give me the item first and then I'll pay you. But I'm also a YouTuber, so people give me natural street cred and they'll handle it. I've only had one person, and he was in last video, refuse to trade with me. So, and I understand, it's a prison server. A lot of people are going to scam. A lot of people are going to be assholes. But, you just have to be very, very careful and watch for prices. An X-Pick, at least on Prison 4, is going to run somewhere between, 1.5, 2 million for no enchants to, some of them go for 15 million. I mean, because they never break. If you get one that's maxed out, kind of like one of these, they're worth a ridiculous amount. So, if you can continuously buy and sell, get one of these X-Picks, upgrade it, and then sell it for 15 million, you're going to be kicking ass. So you just need to get yourself a reputation as being an honest person. You need to find yourself a group of people who are honest people who you can trade with, and then just go trade in a smeltery. Go to the E block smeltery, pull them in there, get them in with you, have them pay you, then give them the item, and don't get greedy, don't fuck them over, because it only takes once. As soon as you scam one person, nobody else is going to deal with you. Or you're going to have to deal with them first. And if one of them decides he wants to get revenge for maybe you fucked over his buddy, then you lose out on infinitely more money. It is way better to be honest on this server and be able to trade and make a killing than it is to scam people and get a short payday. Because you scam, maybe once or twice, and then you're blacklisted. Nobody's going to trade with you. Meanwhile, I'm still trading over and over again, making my 500K here, 1,000 here, et cetera, and you're screwed. So those are basically my tips. Use the inventory setup so that you can only pick up the types that you want. That way you don't have to pick up all this other garbage. Make sure you're actually smelting your ores so that you're getting that EXP, you're making those levels, and you're enchanting diamond picks. Get yourself upgraded. Get yourself an X-Pick. And Silk Touch for the win. Silk Touch, I can't brag about it enough, because the inventory space alone, even if I was looting redstone and lapis, I would still be able to spend, almost an hour down here. Beforehand, I would fill up my inventory before I even finished the bottom floor. Now, with this setup, I go through 2, maybe 3 different, mine regenerations before I have to go up. And on top of that, I'm making a shit ton of tickets. Just a ridiculous amount of tickets, which means more quests, more money, more, faster setups, and it's good to go. So anyways, those are my tips for kicking ass and taking names on the Titan MC server. Hopefully you guys found some of this helpful. If you did, please slap that like button. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next clip.